from 7G and GPS, and I will be explaining the science of swimming. So, here's the contents and about what I'm going to do. An introduction about project number 1, an explanation in parts 1 and 2, pictures, links, tips, and project 2, materials, and explanations for project 2, and the thank you slide. So, in this presentation, I'm going to explain the science behind freestyle swimming. I'll include a tip to explain how it helps us and the science behind it too. There are 2 projects of mine, which one will explain freestyle swimming and the other will explain buoyancy. All of us swim easily, though humans haven't managed to evolve into a more capable species. But do we wonder how? Other species have paddles and gills and flippers, but we don't have anything to help. I'm not counting diving gear or swimming gear or anything like that. I'm talking about our biological, by birth body. So, these other species paddle with their flippers and webbed feet and limbs and things like that. They breathe with gills, which help them to absorb oxygen from the water. But do we have any of those? No. Instead of gills, we have lungs. Instead of flippers and webbed feet, we have hands and feet. We have normal hands and feet. So how do we swim? Well, I can easily explain that. I just need a little bit of help. Say hello to project number 1. So, most people will be thinking by now, what does swimming have to do with a seesaw? A seesaw? You've got to be kidding. But this seesaw can easily be related to swimming. The head, as it has the brain in it, is a really heavy part of the human body. It acts as the heavier kid on the seesaw and brings the rest of it down on its side of the seesaw. In other words, it brings the rest of the body down and causes it to sink. So, how do we not sink? The answer is simple. We swim. Yeah, but how? We push ourselves to the surface and maintain balance by kicking our feet. In the case of the seesaw, the lighter child would get off the seesaw and push it down, thus exerting force on the seat. This would bring him or her at a balance point for a limited time. This can only take place if there is enough force. For example, if there is less force, then either no change will take place or the other child would get uplifted, not much, just a little bit. But I cannot guarantee this at all, as it depends on the force applied and many other various factors. So, here are the pictures. So, here's a picture of the first stage. The first stage is the first stage in which the head or the upper body in general brings it down, right? Then comes the balance stage. This can be achieved for a temporary amount of time by exerting force on the other side. And the not so balanced state. Okay, fine, it's actually unbalanced state. So, in this state, this is when less force is applied. Less force than needed. So, here are a few links for project 1 only. I've made some links to things which I have animated online. Yeah, so for the first stage, you can see the links down below. I'm just gonna quickly show you the animations, and presto. Okay, so I'll be explaining this, and I'll be playing the animation right now. So basically, as you can see, you can imagine your body as a plane, right? Imagine it as a straight line, right? As the base of the seesaw, right? So the heavier side of the seesaw brings down, but the lighter side goes up. If you want to balance that, then your lighter side has to exert force. In this case, the lighter lighter side is actually the lighter kid. And in this, the lighter kid presses down on the other end of the seesaw and manages to balance it. Even if it is for a specific period of time, but it still works. So now for the second animation. This is case 2. The last one was case 1. So in this, lesser force, really less force, and so all of this depends on the force. In this, as you can see, the first kid actually, the lighter kid, actually comes down, and the scenario is almost exactly the same. But there's one more thing which nobody had noticed. Well, maybe you guys noticed. I'm not being picky or anything, so I'm going to play it for a bit more and explain along the way. So in this, lesser force is being applied, less force than needed, and this is insufficient. Like you need things to supply for a factory. In this case, you need force. Force is the resource, right? So if there's no resource, can't do it. If there is less resource, then pretty much, you're gonna have to do it for really less. So now I'm gonna go back to the PPT. Okay, so now I'll explain the tip. There are many tips in swimming, but I'm only gonna explain one. The tip is press the middle of the body down. This entire concept works on buoyancy. So when you press the body down, buoyant force is applied and the air in your lungs helps you to stay afloat. Buoyant force keeps your body on the surface for a while and helps a lot. So, the next project, which I have, is based on the Archimedes principle. Some of the higher students, if there are any that are watching this video, might be familiar. So, now for the materials. This is super easy to make and you can do it right now. Right now, as I'm saying it. So you need a bucket, a mug, and a lot of water to fill the bucket. Now, for the notes, people, I don't know what to say. The instructions are on the next slide. It's right here. So you've already seen the stuff you need. So now, for the instructions, turn the mug upside down and push. But keep the mug above the bucket, just a little bit above, and push. So you'll feel the buoyant force. It makes it harder to push down. This works on the Archimedes principle. Okay, so in the Archimedes principle, it says that the Archimedes principle says that if something is immersed in water, anything. I'm not being picky or anything. If you dunk it in water, it will come floating up, right? Sometimes that happens, right? So this is equilibrium. So when you press it down, you're gonna get the equal force coming back right at you. So, well, now I'm afraid our time is getting a bit less. So bye, thank you, and see you.